Stories of an Aircraft Builder. Stuttgart newspaper number 135, Saturday, June 13th, 1992. From the neighboring districts. Finally crafted. An airplane dream under the fruit tree. Achim Engels and Wolfgang Schuster met 8 years ago at school, and both had one thing in common right from the start. Everything to do with aviation, flying, and all that goes with it fascinated and inspired them far more than mathematics and German. The two young men from Schondorf were particularly taken with vintage aircraft. The fascination with flying machines gave rise to lofty plans in the two teenagers. Building an airplane from the pioneering days of aviation became their big dream, and they never let go. The two aero enthusiasts put their idea into practice, and the result can now be admired under the Mirabelle plum tree in a garden in the Schondorf suburb. There, in the flesh, was a replica triplane of the Fokker DR-1, as it was manufactured back in 1917 and flown by the legendary fighter pilot Manfred von Richthofen, known today as the Red Baron. The Engels-Schuster team, actively supported by Engels' girlfriend Renate, have spent all their free time over the past year and a half on the project, and they have no regrets. It was fun, say the three, which is why they want to tackle another project. Achim Engels, who is still a student and wants to obtain a technical college entrance qualification, and his partner Wolfgang Schuster, who works as a radio and television technician, are keen to point out that their first work is not a cheap copy of the Fokker DR-1 triplane, but a faithful reconstruction, in which everything is right down to the last detail and the last screw. Admittedly, the Fokker replica, by the two 19 years old, is not completely original. The engine and the weapons with which the World War I pilots used to shoot around are missing, but this does not detract from the overall effect. In any case, the two young inventors made every effort to dispense with today's standard production methods and work in the same way as the aircraft technicians of 1917. So it was sometimes necessary to put yourself in the shoes of the designers of the time and guess how they worked. Achim Engels says that was the great attraction of the whole thing. Before the Schuster-Engels tandem could even get to work, extensive research was required, which took a good 2.5 years. It proved difficult to obtain plans and drawings. The two young men wrote to the Fokker company in Holland, historians, museums and experts, and rummaged through archives. A lot of material came together, but very little was useful. Where they did come across old original plans, they were usually in such a miserable state that they had to be redrawn with a lot of feeling. When the two Daimler City dwellers were ready, they had another nut to crack, namely finding a sponsor. After extensive correspondence with 20 museums in Europe, the Auto and Technik Museum Sinsheim finally took the bait. The museum's directors placed a great deal of trust in Achim Engels and Wolfgang Schuster and agreed to cover the material costs of 30,000 marks for the replica aircraft. Then they were finally able to get down to work. They worked in Schuster's garage, in Engels' father workshop, in cellar rooms and in a musty storage shed. Many procurement problems had to be solved, such as the questions of where to get the fabric to make the fuselage and wings of the triplane. After a long search, they found a company in the US that still produces linen fabric as it did 80 years ago. It was no less difficult to find teardrop-shaped steel tubes for the struts, but Engels and Schuster found what they were looking for in America. What the aircraft construction duo delivered to the Auto and Technik Museum Sinsheim was so well received that they were offered a follow-up order. At least Achim Engels sees a professional perspective for himself. If the opportunity arises, he wants to devote himself entirely to aircraft reconstruction with the job title Aircraft Reconstructor. The triplane built in Schondorf will probably be housed in the Speyer branch of the Sinsheim Museum. There, the aircraft will possibly be fitted with an engine. Whether it will ever take to the skies is, of course, highly questionable. Obtaining a flight license in Germany is virtually hopeless. Fokker fans are hoping that the museum managers will perhaps try France, where the regulations are not so strict. The two aircraft hobbyists will probably forever lack confirmation that their work can fly. But Wolfgang Schuster and Achim Engels have not the slightest doubt that their airplane is airworthy, because it is absolutely identical to the original.